Welcome to Tireless, hosted by Tim Taylor, a podcast developed for the community. Which community? All of them. The purpose of Tireless is to share stories, experiences, knowledge, information, to bring people of all walks of life together. Welcome to Being Tireless.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Tim Taylor, host of Tireless. We're getting ready to welcome on special guest for the day, Mr. Harrison Gray. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today. We're going to talk about our history of the United States Navy. We're going to talk about his background as a Fleet Marine Force corpsman, as well as an ICU corpsman and a baby doc stationed on board a ship. We're going to discuss what he knows about medical things and how it relates to what's going on in the world today. Outside of the Navy, we're going to be discussing his small business. He does own and operate a small real estate investment company called Light Investment and Real Estate, LLC. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about all the different things that he's got going on. This young man is incredibly intelligent. He is always onto something, and he generally has a good feeling in the know of what's going to happen before it happens. He is that kind of a guy when it comes to business and investments and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be really happy to bring him on the show. He'll be coming on here just a little bit. In the meantime, how's everybody doing out there? How are you doing with the social distancing? How is it going with having everybody at home? How is it going with being in the same house as a spouse and both of you trying to work at the same time? Maybe with kids, maybe without kids. What's going on out there, folks? Please come on in, jump into the comments. Let me know what you're up to. I'd love to hear it because I know that we're having a whole lot of fun here at the Taylor household. My wife, Lynn, is currently got the kitchen covered in giant cardboard boxes that she is cutting little templates out of in order to build a cardboard igloo for our 4.5-year-old and our 3-year-old. Our 3-year-old is currently wearing a construction worker's hat and using his little fake tools on his own little cardboard box. And Gavin is running around here somewhere, 4.5 years old, hiding in the boxes, hiding all over the place. He will probably jump out here at some point while I'm recording this. But, you know, that's part of the fun of trying to do all this from home with everybody here. So, with all that being said, we're going to welcome Harrison Gray onto the show in just a few minutes. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope you guys are washing your hands, practicing your social distancing. I feel like I was made for this kind of apocalypse. All right, folks. Harrison Gray will be on in just a moment. All right, folks, so we're recording, and here he is, Mr. Harrison Gray. What's going on, buddy? How you been?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing all right. Just handling this, everything just going on in the nation today.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm really glad I was able to get you nailed down. I know you got a lot going on right now. It's difficult to get your time. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk to me. It's great to see you again. It's been a few weeks. You haven't been able to make it to our networking group. And now that the networking group has gone virtual, it's going to be a little bit longer before we can see each other. So I was talking in the intro, man, Fleet Marine Forces, ICU corpsman, baby doc on a ship. What is going on, man? What is going on with this, with the world that we're seeing right now, medically speaking? What is up with this virus?
Well, medically speaking, it is a pandemic. It's spreading like wildfire. Person-to-person contact, droplets. You touch something that someone coughed on, it's a good chance you could catch it if they had it. So it is getting kind of crazy. Now the death percentage is very, very low, but anybody who has like a compromised immune system, old age, young age, unless you're 30 and fit as an ox, it's a good chance that you could get really, really sick, and it could be really dangerous. But other than that, just make sure everybody's washing their hands and covering their face when they cough or sneeze, and just do proper hygiene. You should be okay. The shutdown, it has a possibility to help a lot of people, but at the same time, I believe that a lot of people are going to go bankrupt over getting sick. So that's a problem that I foresee.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern that's going around, man. So I keep reading these articles. I keep seeing these posts online, and I want to get your opinion of it, man. They're talking about, obviously wash your hands properly, drink water, keep yourself hydrated. I'm just waiting for somebody to say, change your socks and take 2 Motrin. And this is the Navy doc prescription, it's So what do you think about
Oh
that?
yeah.
Because I mean, obviously this relates back to what you used to do on board the ship. Your job on the ship was to keep us healthy, keep us from spreading the what we used to call the crud from one person to another. And a lot of this has to sound really familiar to you. You used to say it all the time. Hey, go wash your hands. Take a shower, cover your mouth. These are things that should be just basic human behaviors, and we have to constantly remind folks. It kind of blows me away. But what do you think about that? Are we going to be changing our socks every 6 hours or so in order to keep this pandemic from spreading?
That's right, and don't forget to take your Motrin every 4 to 6 hours,
There you go,
because
man.
it is getting crazy, man. And like you said, these are things that people should be doing anyway, and it is kind of sad that it takes a pandemic for people to actually do what they were supposed to do in the first place, just for proper hygiene and preventative medicine.
Yeah. And I keep seeing folks talking about, oh, well, this is an overreaction. It's an overreaction. Honestly, it's really not. When I'm looking at these articles, I'm reading these articles talking about how nasty this thing is really getting, how quickly it spreads. I don't think there's a possible way to overreact to this. What do you think about that?
I don't think there is a possible way to overreact, because everybody is different. Everybody has their own opinion and their own, fears and concerns about any kind of thing, especially something like this, a pandemic or some kind of virus or disease that could affect your living day to day. So yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's an overreaction. However, I still live by the quote, people are smart. I mean, the person is smart, but people in general are dumb.
Yes.
And they panic. They just don't, they let fear control their emotions and what they do. So that's the general statement for generalized population. So when you have something like that and it's so far widespread and people start to panic, yeah, you're absolutely going to have people overreact. You're going to have people gouging. You're going to have people binging on or hoarding of supplies and so on and so forth, which causes more tension. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I think that the world itself is going to come out of this pretty strong.
Yeah, I posted a video up on LinkedIn and threw it up on my YouTube the other day, and I was talking about how I feel that with this mandated shutdown around the world, we're going to start seeing a lot of companies switch to an in-home employment cycle. They're going to realize, they're going to have that aha moment that says to them, hey, you know what? Homework actually works for us. We can put a lot of employees out of these office spaces. So one, they're not contracting diseases from each other, but two, and more importantly, from a business aspect of things, they're not paying thousands of dollars in rent on these very large office buildings when they don't need to. They can spend a couple $100, $1,000 max and get an in-home setup for each employee that they have that can, and again, that goes back to the individual. Can you work from home? Obviously some people can, some people can't. But those who can, put them in their houses, get them out of the office building, save the money on your brick and mortar when you can still be just as productive, just as efficient with the majority of your workforce working from the house.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you mentioned there a person is smart, people are dumb, panicky animals. That was you posted that the other day. Well, that was Men in Black, wasn't it? Wasn't that Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith Men in Black movie?
Yep.
I thought that's where that came from, and I completely agree with that comment and your use of it. You are absolutely right. I could walk down my street, I could talk to a bunch of my neighbors one at a time, and they are intelligent people. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. But when we start looking at the neighborhood as a whole, now we're starting to deal with dumb, panicky animals because something is in the air or something is in the water, and hey, you know, we've got to freak out. We've got something going on. So let's talk a little bit about business. What do you foresee happening? You always seem to be in the know when it comes to investments in real estate and what's going on. You and I have been talking for the last year or so off and on about what's going on with financials. And you always seem to be a step ahead of everybody else that I talk to or listen to. So what is it that you're seeing is going to happen as we start to come out of this? Because I saw a report from Forbes yesterday, China's starting to get back to normal. So we're looking, 3, maybe 4 weeks out, we'll start returning back to normal. But what are you seeing is going to be, you know, the coming trend over the next few weeks?
Well, what I foresee is it's going to take longer than a few weeks before this to bounce back. I think it's going to be closer to July, August timeframe before we start to see the economy or financing or even real estate starting to bounce back, as far as, you know, people lending money or taking loans or the interest rate starting to go back up. Right now, the interest rate is really low, like the lowest I've ever seen, 2.5, 2.7% for a mortgage, with decent credit, of course. But I can see it going back up to a 3 or 3.5 coming near the end of the summer. And as far as lending goes, a lot of people are still lending, more on the private and hard money side, but big banks are stopping lending. Public banks are stopping lending. You can still get a mortgage and stuff like that. You can still get lending, but you have to have superb credit and a great track record for them to jump on it right now, because they're scared about unemployment. They're scared about people getting laid off, people losing hours due to the crisis. So they're scared that they may not be able to get their money back. But come the end of the summer, I think everything's going to be bouncing back, and people are going to be able to get loans and mortgages, and the housing value will go back up, because right now it's starting to dip because more and more people are going into foreclosure or scared that they won't be able to pay their mortgage or their rents or anything like that due to lack of hours and layoffs and stuff like that. So I think that it's going to get, like I said earlier, it's going to get worse, much worse before it gets better, but it's not going to be another 2008.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Well, I'll tell you, hearing those words right there, it's not going to be another 2008. That makes me feel a lot better. So, you know, we all know this sort of a dip, this sort of a hit that the stock market's taking, it's not going to correct itself by July or August. That's going to take years for it to correct in the markets. But what you're specifically referring to is interest rates going to get bumped back up a little bit here and there as we go over the next couple of months, as things start to normalize, people get back to work. Businesses start to figure out, okay, how much did we lose? What do we need to do to start recouping, and so on and so. So that's really what you're referring to, and definitely I agree with you 100% on what you're talking about. So let me see here. Let me check my notes real quick. There was something else that I definitely wanted to get your opinion on. When it comes to, and don't worry, I'll cut this part out where I'm babbling like an idiot. Or I won't. Maybe it'll be good for entertainment value. Not sure.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm drawing a complete blank, and I didn't write it down before I started this. So let me see here. We talked about pandemic from the medical aspect. We talked about business aspect of things. Oh, okay. So man, I saw this article today, and I started reading it, and it absolutely blew my mind. And I actually just commented on it on a friend of mine's post on Facebook. There is a small group of senators right now who are about to find themselves in some pretty hot water. It seems that they took some of their briefing material that they received ahead of anybody else in the country, and they decided to start a sell-off of a lot of their stocks. To the tune of, I saw one particular Senator, Dianne Feinstein, may have made about $6 million in selling off after receiving a brief on the coronavirus. There's Senator Kelly, I believe her name is, from Georgia, same thing. What do you think? I mean, 2012, they passed a law called the stock law, which basically said that no public servant who's in a position to receive that sort of critical intel can apply it for personal gain, aka making the sale of all these stocks, insider trading.
Inside trading.
Exactly. So we're seeing it happen right now. And with the vast majority of Americans sitting at home with nothing else to do besides dig into what our politicians have been up to, what is it that you think may come out of what's going on with that? Give me your thoughts on that whole debacle that's occurring up there in D.C. right now.
Well, that debacle, I see some jail time for them. I see jail time. Reason is because it's foolproof. They are caught red-handed. They received the briefing. Inside that briefing had certain things about certain stocks that may take a hit during the epidemic or anything like that, and they sold. They had some stock in it, so they sold it off that briefing alone. They didn't have just like a thought like, oh, I think I'm gonna sell today. No, they got a briefing and then they sold and made a hefty profit. So yes, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. That is insider trading. It is 100% illegal to the SEC, and they're gonna get charged for it.
Well, I tell you what, I personally hope that they do. I want to hear by the end of this coming week resignations, and I am hoping to hear by the end of the week after that investigation. Those are the words I want to hear. And you know me, man. I generally try to stay the hell out of politics. I don't like getting involved and dragged into that mudslinging shit show. But I had to ask your opinion on it because, you know, I value your opinion, and I really think that you know a lot of stuff about a lot of things. You're one of those Renaissance men where you have a lot of knowledge about a lot of different topics, and I wanted to pick your brain on that a little bit. So yeah, it's a la Martha Stewart from a few years back when she got caught with her insider trading. She went to federal prison. You know, and everybody jokes about it now. I saw there was they did a roast of, what's that singer from Canada, young kid, all the little kids love him.
Justin Bieber?
Oh, yeah, they did a roast of him on, Justin Bieber. They did a roast of him on Comedy Central, and Martha Stewart, of all people, was there with Snoop Dogg in order to roast Justin Bieber. It was absolutely hilarious, you know. But he had a very funny line. He had a line there towards the end. He said, what happens when you give a teenager millions of dollars when they're a teenager? It's 2 hours of people calling you a lesbian. It's which was the primary. Everybody had these jokes on Justin Bieber, and you know what? Love him or hate him, kid's multi-millionaire, world famous, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So whatever. I don't listen to his music. Nope. I don't know if you listen to his music. If you do, that's on you. Go right on ahead, do your thing. But whatever, you know, he's a multimillionaire and he's putting his money in the right places. He's doing a lot of good things with his money too.
I agree with that.
So
he's doing some powerful stuff with his money.
Yeah, it's not just about him. It's not just about building his wealth. He's doing a lot of charity work. He's doing a lot of philanthropy. So a lot of that stuff, that's good for him, man. That's awesome. Like I said, don't know him. Don't listen to his music. Don't know if I would like him or not, but whatever. He's doing a lot of good things. Good for him. But yeah, that going back to the whole topic at hand, the senators who think they are above the law, they think that they don't have to worry about things that you and I have to worry about. If you and I had been sitting in one of those top secret briefs up on Capitol Hill where somebody was saying, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Senator, we need to be prepared for massive stock market losses. And then you or I turned around and we went out there and we sold a bunch of our stock, we would be facing jail time too. You know, but and we're getting interrupted. There's Gavin, everybody. What's going on, little man? What you doing, buddy? Come here.
Ty's trying the spread germs on me.
Oh, Toby's trying to spread germs on you?
Oh,
Oh, well, that's
oh
not very
no.
nice of Toby, is it?
And I tried to do this, but it's still trying to be smelly.
Oh, okay. Here, let me get my cord around your neck here so you're not. There you go. Wait, what song do we sing when we're washing our hands?
ABCD.
That's right. We sing our ABCs while we wash our hands, right?
Yeah.
What do you
There
think,
we
Doc?
go.
Is that a good idea?
That's a great idea. That's the best way to make sure you get them all washed nice and clean.
All right.
We're boys.
I can hear his voice in my headset. You can't hear his voice because it's not on the speakers. All right. But he agreed with you. He said sing ABCs is a really good way to make sure that you're stopping germs. So why don't you go run back out to the living room? All right, little man.
Gavin,
I had
so
a
awesome.
feeling. I had a feeling that was going to happen. He's walking out of the room right now. He's walking out of the room right now like this, trying to cover his mouth. Oh, okay. Gotta love having everybody home, right?
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So that slight interruption aside, let's see. We had been talking about a while back. You and I had been discussing. You were setting up videos or something that you were. Oh, here's the other one coming to interrupt. Hold on a minute.
Aha.
Come here, Tobes. Come here, buddy. You want to get on? You want to get on the TV? Come on. Come here, little buddy. Come on. You want to be on here? You want to see my friend Harrison? Boop. There he is. Say hi, Harrison. Say hi.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, what you got? You got Legos? All right. Now remember, we got it. What do we sing when we wash our hands? Do we sing ABCs? Yeah. Say it. Say ABCs. There you go. You say your ABCs.
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
yeah. I say bye, Harrison. Bye, everybody. All right. Run back out to the living room.
Bye.
All right. There you go. yeah. Monkey see, monkey do. One came in, so the other one had to come in. So yeah, we were discussing. We were discussing a couple of weeks back. You had started doing some videos for a YouTube channel. How did you ever keep moving with that? What's going on with it?
Yeah. So those videos did get kind of halted given a home situation, but
gotcha.
It's still on the pipeline. Those videos will be coming out, and they will be going over a lot of mindsets for switching from that entrepreneur or from that employee mindset to the entrepreneur mindset. Some nuggets about closing deals or finding deals or just real estate in general. It's going to be some things on there about business, about starting a small business, finding funding, raising capital. Finding partners and investors, and just bouncing ideas off of, or finding out ways to brainstorm ideas to build your business and build your brand. That's still coming out. It's going to be called Singularity, and that name is really important because it takes a singularity to start something that you're truly passionate about.
Gotcha, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. And that you just said a word right there that I have used to define you in conversations with other people, and that's passion. You have got a passion not only to invest, you've got a passion not only to run your own business, take care of your family, but you've got a passion to educate. And you just, whenever you and I have discussed about, hey, we need to teach XYZ, you always light up. You've got that passion, that inner educator, so to speak, that you may not be in education, but you know what? You're always looking to teach somebody. You're always willing to talk to somebody, teach them something, help them out. And that's just, I want to thank you for that. You've helped me out in ways that you probably don't even know. A lot of different ways you do know. But that just comes from our history together, being sailors on a ship. And now we're both out of the Navy, but both in business, both entrepreneurs. We're both communicating with each other. By the way, I don't know if you saw or not, our BNI group has gone virtual. We're no longer,
Yes.
obviously, we're no longer meeting in a set place, but we will be virtually meeting this coming Wednesday. So with that being said, we kind of touched on earlier in the episode here, we talked about bigger businesses realizing that remote work can work for them. Networking is starting to go in this direction as well. Obviously, we can't have 20, 30, 50 people in a room together. So how do we get these people together? And I know BNI and Rockstar Networking, several other of the large networking platforms are actually starting Zoom, and another one's called like HIO. They're utilizing those software platforms in order to maintain the networking for small business owners, entrepreneurs like us. What do you think is going to happen once they sound the all clear? Is everybody going to run back out to these in-person networking events? Are we going to stay virtual, or is there going to be some sort of a hybrid between the two? What are you seeing? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking more of a hybrid type of thing. It was already moving towards the virtual side before this pandemic happened. More and more people would get on Meetup and conversate through there and get the information they need from there. And then also people would go to meetings in person through Meetup. So I think it's going to be more of a hybrid because some people do want to have that person-to-person interaction. Some people retain the information better or feel more comfortable with their decisions if they can talk to a person in person.
Right.
However, but then there's people that don't like leaving the house, don't like to actually be in another person's presence, and they would prefer a virtual lecture or a virtual networking platform where 50, 100, 150, 300 people are in one room conversating, bouncing ideas off each other, telling stories about what they've done or what they plan on doing, and getting that input from the community itself through virtual platforms. But I do believe that some people that used to go to meetings all the time in person will start to go into a virtual side and vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. I see the added advantages of having that hybrid networking event where they have maybe at one end of a table, they've got a computer set up where people are actually able to view. They've got a camera set up that they can pass around or something. So every speaker who's physically present can still get that exposure to the virtual, and whoever's at home, in an office, unable to attend in person will have that opportunity to still interact, still be able to talk, and so on and so forth in order to build that networking and continue what they're doing. So yeah, I 100% agree with you there. I definitely think some sort of a hybrid is on the horizon. And I think it's going to happen a lot faster now that everybody is kind of in the lockdown state. I think you were right. You mentioned it. It's sort of been happening, but I think we've hit the accelerator on that sort of an event, and we're getting a lot quicker on those things now. So yeah, man, listen, is there anything that you have on your mind that you want to get out there to anybody who may tune in, to anybody out there in the universe who might be listening? It's your time, man. Talk to me about your story.
Well, the main thing that I just preach all the time and talk to my clients about, or anybody else who inquires about what's going on in the world or inquiring to me about knowledge or anything like that, is take the leap. Find what makes you happy. Continue working your job to pay your bills, and save every dime that you can to start what really makes you happy. And then when you really find that, do it. Reach out to someone who has a business. Reach out to someone who has started a business. Reach out to someone or reach out to a family member that even thought about doing a business, and ask questions. There is never a dumb question. One question always leads to another question, and make sure you ask that second question. Get the knowledge that you need to propel yourself to where you want to be. And only you can do that. Not your wife, not your family, not your kids. Only you can do those 2:00 at night, 2:00 in the morning, finishing up what you were supposed to do earlier that day or the day before, or waking up at 4:30 in the morning just to knock out some stuff to have a meeting for at 8. When you build the momentum, it won't stop as long as you keep going.
That's awesome, man. That's a great message. I love what you're putting out there. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to be on the show. We've run a little bit over a half an hour here, and I know your kids are missing Daddy, and my kids are missing Daddy, so we're going to have to cut this short. But listen, man, again, thank you so much, not only for taking the time out of your day and being on the show, but for being a good friend, being a good role model, and helping me when I needed help when it comes to business and having ideas. And I absolutely love you for taking all that time out of over the last year and a half, et cetera. You've taken so much of your time and helped me personally. And I want to thank you for that, brother. It's awesome to know you, and I can't wait to see where you go from here. The sky is the absolute basement where you're going to be. You're going to be up in the stars someplace, brother, because you have that drive. You have that drive and you have that desire, and I see nothing but great things ahead for you, Harrison. So, again, thank you for being on the show, brother. You have a great rest of your day. All right, man?
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother.